This video will discuss in detail allegations surrounding infamous creator Kero The Wolf. This video will also in part briefly mention allegations surrounding the figure known as Hypnotist Sappho. In spite of that, this video will contain no graphic detail or themes. This video is solely surrounding the return of Kero The Wolf, not the allegations surrounding him, as those have been discussed and done to death by other YouTubers in the past. Irregardless of that, this video will touch on some touchy subjects, and if you aren't here for that, feel free to click off now. That being said, let's delve right into it. The furry community is well documented for its bad actors. Specific examples like Hypnotist Sappho are not rare, but even within those examples, there are some detestable beings that go even further beyond. Kero The Wolf is obviously one of those people, as even when Sappho was first getting her start making her original video, she wouldn't even utter his name.
Especially because of certain very terrible people and what you may have seen in the news. And someone that I will not mention, if you remember that situation with the zoo sadism leaks a few years back.
Treating him as some morally reprehensible individual so vile that even she couldn't bring herself to defend him. But long-time viewers of the channel will already know that. I and many others have been talking about Kero and his actions for years now. So really, the question that keeps coming to my mind is, how does this guy continue to gain a platform? How do people continue to entertain him in spite of all he's done? But I'm getting slightly ahead of myself, so I think I'm gonna roll it back a little bit and give you a recap on one of the most stomach-churning dramas to ever come out of the furry community. One I discussed so long ago that I only had 15k subscribers when I first talked about it. That brings me back to Kero's first big break, which was before anyone knew him as some form of degenerate. Unlike Sappho, Kero's career didn't start with the zoo behavior. In fact, I'd argue at the start, Kero was moderately non-problematic. He first got attention when Shane Dawson, of all people, made a video talking about Kero and then interviewing Kero, giving Kero the spotlight and even sending his audience to go subscribe to Kero's channel at the end of the video. At this point, Kero was acting as some sort of linchpin for the furry community, representing himself as one of the good ones in the furry fanbase and explaining that while there are degenerate actors within the community, that doesn't reflect the community as a whole, and most people, like himself, are non-controversial individuals who don't really get up to anything that questionable. Which would be true for a lot of people in the furry community, but obviously, it's very ironic considering who this statement was coming from. From this point, Kero would go on to continue to amass a moderately well-sized platform from being a non-controversial figure, at one point being one of the biggest furry creators on the platform. That was all until, like dominoes, the reputations of so many members of the furry community came toppling down, including Kero's, following the zoo sadism leaks. And while these leaks have been discussed by so many other creators, and I really don't want to discuss them because I'd probably throw up, I'll give you the vaguest of explanations so that you can really get an idea of what was going on here. Effectively, all at once, a batch of screenshots were released to the internet showing chat logs between Kero The Wolf and many other zoos who at the time had clean reputations in the public, where they were explaining that they wanted to engage in zoophilic actions, necrophilic actions, and everything else under the sun you could imagine. These chat logs ranging from vague statements surrounding these topics to graphic and detailed descriptions of what these people wanted to do or had done to animals in the past. Sometimes including videos, images. Let your imagination run wild, because it's honestly probably better I leave it to your imagination than tell you. Though if you are really that morbidly curious about what was in these chats, I'd suggest going to check out a very well made video by Turkey Tom called Kero The Wolf Got Away With It. He explains the leaks better than I ever could or would want to. Following the leaks of these disgusting comments where Kero would describe things he wanted to do to animals, things he found appealing about animals, etc., Kero would respond with one of the most brilliant responses I think I've ever heard and immediately clear himself of all of the allegations. He would claim he was hacked, providing screenshots showing that his Telegram had apparently been accessed from Iran, and that as such, he was cleared of all of these claims. He was being framed by someone else. Immediately, though, people began to question some things, like the fact that one of Kero's screenshots had a VPN icon in the top right, but regardless, more damning evidence to show that this actually was Kero would come not so soon after. Chats with members of these zoo groups where Kero was discussing videos he was making dated before the videos ever released. And there's no question Kero was obviously the person behind all of this shit, considering the same person he told he was making these YouTube videos to was also the same person he came to cry to when he found out his dog was going to pass away. And in these chats with this person, he was describing the things he did to his animal, going as far as to say, now that he's dying, I can't believe I did that to him, and saying he could no longer be part of zoo groups anymore. This guy caught himself red-handed, there's no question, but the evidence doesn't even end there. Because when it comes to a fur-brained degenerate like this, with all the paws he could ever put on his hands, he still can't dig himself out of the grave he dug himself here. And that leads us in pretty swiftly into what I'd consider the hardest evidence to prove that these logs are indisputably Kero. That being the subject of Khary, someone Kero the Wolf dated. I say dated pretty vaguely because Khary was a pseudonym, not actually ever used by anyone in the public. Khary was someone else who was identified through the zoo leaks after their passing because of things Kero said within these leaks. And due to that, we know these logs are from Kero, without any doubt. But for that, I'll quickly reference Tom's video.
Khary. It's a name I have yet to mention, and honestly, when hearing it for the first time, it sort of strikes me as a generic name for a furry. Kero the Wolf has spent time in a YouTube video, as well as on Twitter, mourning the loss of Khary, who he claims to have been his boyfriend for some time, who had unfortunately passed away due to a drug overdose. If you've spent any time researching furries, you may be familiar with the fact that there seems to be a persistent drug problem at conventions and behind the scenes. For whatever reasons, many attendees like to experiment with hard drugs. Kero's video in particular was praised by his fans for talking about something so personal and addressing a serious issue in the fandom. But once the zoo sadism leaks were released, and Kero was implicated, all of his past became subject to scrutiny, including the existence of Khary. The reason why? Well, for one, the video and any tweets about Khary were specifically removed when the leaks happened. As far as anyone has been able to figure out, Khary never existed. At least, not under that name. Kero did have a boyfriend. His name was Ilwan Shepipaz, someone also implicated in the zoo sadism leaks. Via the chat logs, it can be seen he was buddy-buddy with Snake Thing and Wolf, as well as being the significant other of Kero. Much like Khary, Sheppy died of a drug overdose, being referenced specifically by Kero in the Telegram chat logs when discussing his disappearance and eventual passing.
No rush or pressure, bud. Kero, is it about Illy? Because we've been trying to find out what happened for a week now.
A day went by, and then a week went by. I started to get worried.
We tried reaching out to his work. They couldn't tell us anything. We searched everywhere online. Nothing turned up. So my friend is gonna try to get a hold of his father tomorrow and see if he checked himself in somewhere.
And then I tried to contact all of his friends. I tried to contact his parents.
Last thing he sent me was a Google joke.
And he sent me this stupid Google picture. It was so stupid, but it was funny at the time.
And then I didn't hear from him again.
So I responded, and he never gave back a response.
I found out what happened. On Friday, after his day stuff, he got his hands on some weed and heroin. The heroin was laced. I really hate to say it, but he died. They found him on Sunday.
And then finally, one of his friends messaged me and told me he was gone. He overdosed on drugs, and they found him in his apartment.
That very same day, July 21st, 2018, Kero makes a tweet announcing his boyfriend, Khary, had died from a drug overdose.
Kero deleted all traces of Khary because he realized that he had accidentally tied himself to the zoo sadism leaks. He basically caught himself, and was bold enough to lie about the identity of his boyfriend's passing to his audience of thousands of people. Keep in mind, this person is also a serial animal abuser and zoo sadist who participated in all of the same shit everyone else there did. In the messages, Kero mourns his loss. It's just, the reason why I don't date, well, the reason before I dated him was because I could never find someone with the same interests as me. I could not date a non-zoo because I hate hiding things from mates. He was perfect, he understood me as a person, and we had so much in common.
And that information should give you the backdrop for what we're going to discuss in today's video, which is Kero the Wolf's secret return. The fact he has now rebranded his entire channel, has become a VTuber, and is now trying to return to the platform as if nothing happened. Shocking, I know. I think you'll first notice that tonally, Radiance the Wolf, our new friend's first video, the future of my channel, is all off. You'd expect that he'd at least be self-aware enough to know that releasing a video like this after rebranding is going to draw some eyes, especially from the people who are already aware of this guy and this shit he's done in the past. But, you know, actually I shouldn't expect any intelligence from someone who does things like this with animals. But regardless, wow.
Oh, hi. Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. I know it's been a while. I've been trying to do some soul searching, trying to find a purpose for this channel. I didn't really know what to do or what kind of videos I wanted to make, but you know, I think I found one. Starting today, I will be rebranding this channel. The new name will be called Radiance, and I'll explain why. A lot of people seem to think that social media matters in the grand scheme of things, but honestly, it's just a bunch of noise. It doesn't really affect me in my real life, and it shouldn't affect your life either. I feel like we put social media on a throne.
He starts this video like all good controversial figures do, with a quote, saying that the internet and social media is effectively just noise. But I mean, yeah, I suppose if this noise you're referring to is people calling you out for the fucking vile things you've done, you'd want to tune it out as soon as possible. According to the Radiance the Wolf, social media doesn't affect him in his personal life, and it shouldn't affect us too. Not really sure how you can say that, considering you had legal investigations from things you did on social media, and actually, why am I even debating with you? We all know why you're saying this, and it's obvious that you don't actually think this.
But really, it's meant to connect us, not divide us. I feel like we do more dividing because we want to feel better, when in reality, it just turns into bullying.
God, guys, let me morally grandstand about how much more I know than you, because I am a reliable source when it comes to any insight on things you should do with your life. It feels like social media divides us, when really it should connect us. Normally it does connect us. The problem? You are the problem.
So my new channel name will be Radiance, because I want to show people that no matter how much hate, no matter how much lies or rumors there are, I'll still continue to shine. The more light that's emitted, the more that the shadows melt away.
No matter how many lies people tell about me with all this evidence that I'm never going to debate, I will still shine. Shut the fuck up.
Content will be different than in the past. I don't really fursuit anymore, so I'll mainly be using this avatar.
There's something so perfect about him saying that he doesn't wear fursuits anymore. It's obvious the reason is because his fursuit is associated with him and reveals who he is, and he's not welcome in these communities. So when he appears in that fursuit, people know him and call him out for his behavior. So now he obviously can't wear it anymore.
It's good to let loose, you know. It's good to feel free and know what you want to do. You know, I'm all about that. I'm really all about that.
And towards the latter end of this video, he describes himself as feeling free now. I'm pretty sure Kanye said that too after everything, and look where he is. He doesn't seem very innocent of his claims. Regardless, I think the problem here is the audience that continues to tune into his content in spite of everything. He somehow still manages to maintain a decent viewer base. He gets a ton of comments from people showing support for the channel. And because of that, if people like me don't sit here and call it out, I feel like Khary is going to be able to continue to build a brand under this new name without anyone in his audience being able to bring attention to it. Likely because he's removing comments, but also because there's just so many people supporting him for some reason. But just to make it clear, I don't want to give a misrepresentation of these comments. There are still people calling him out. He's obviously still getting more of a negative reception than a positive reception. And there are a ton of other creators covering this, so it's obvious Khary's not going to be able to walk away from this scot-free. With that being said, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this return to form, I would appreciate if you could consider subscribing to the channel to help support me. Feel free to check out my other videos, check out my other social media linked in the description. Feel free to become a channel member if you'd like to support me financially. And for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while now, I am bringing back the more consistent content now. I need to do it for me, so I am going to be bringing it back. I'm excited to be making more consistent content again, hopefully aiming for 10 minutes and downscaling the videos I've been making previously. Because while I would love to be able to make all of my videos the things I've been making them recently, it's simply not efficient. Final added notes, this video was delayed slightly, specifically because one of my dogs, one that was originally going to be mentioned in the intro of this video, unfortunately fell sick soon after we got her. Hey! Before this video begins, I thought it would be on theme to mention that I recently got a new dog called Dulce. Everyone say hi, Dulce. If you stick to the end of this video, I'll put a little more in here for her, and also some of Paddington for those of you who remember him. So make sure to watch the whole way, or else, you know, if you skip, the dogs won't be there. That's the rule. Because of that, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to release the video talking about her while she was sick, and then it's continued to get worse, so for now, I thought I'd just cut that section out and release the video as is, and hope she returns to health soon. Final thing, I want to give much love to Khary. Khary is a musician that I've been a fan of, my favorite musician, since years ago now. And recently he reached out to me and offered me the opportunity to use his music in these videos. So from now on, all the outro songs will be specifically from him. And as such, all I can do is ask you to send him support. It means so much to me that he'd do this for me. And with that being said, I'll see you next time.